What is going on, everybody? What is going on? The Catch fam, hope you guys are doing phenomenal tonight, man. Hope you guys are ready for a late night 2023 fantasy football mock draft with you guys with the Catch fam. You guys know what time it is, man. I'm so excited to hop into another mock draft with such an incredible community. So hit that like button on the way in, hit that subscribe button, of course, if you guys are new to the channel, and most importantly, hop in the live chat, guys. Let me know what's popping. Let me know how everyone is doing. There is your random order for the night. Told you guys we're kicking off at 11:15 p.m. Eastern time sharp. So without further ado, well, we'll give it one more minute. Actually, I'm going to go ahead and send out just a final reminder on Discord that we're starting, just to give everyone a fair chance, of course, and then we're hopping right into tonight's mock draft. So super excited as always. We're going to have a great time tonight. We're going to have some fun. We're going to talk some fantasy football. All right. Final reminder sent out on Discord. Let's not waste any more time. The draft has begun. Let's do it, guys. So, sitting here at 1.7 tonight. Should be an interesting build. Once again, sorry, guys, for earlier. Had to hop off of the stream earlier, so I do apologize. But, nonetheless, I'm super excited to hop into another mock with you guys. So, thank you guys so much for being understanding, and thank you guys to those of you who got tonight's mock filled. Be Like Chunk goes with Patty Mahomes at 1.1. This is a redraft mock. This is not a super flex dynasty mock like we have been practicing for as well. Overall, this first round has been very interesting. We got Mahomes, JJ, C-Mac, Chase, Kelsey, Hill off of the board. So I'm just going to go with Austin Eckler here and move right along. All right, we got J-Dubs in the house. What's going on, my dude? Hello, hello. I appreciate you hanging out, man. Appreciate you being in the draft earlier as well as the current draft. And it's going to be fun. So we talked a little bit about some of the free agency moves today, which we didn't have a ton to go over. We just had the Texans bombarding the headlines once again. And then we have Damon Harris going to the Bills. So nothing really like too crazy, but there definitely are fantasy implications all around here. We also talked about OJ Howard going to the Raiders, which doesn't really mean anything. I mean, this tight end class is so incredibly deep that I really think multiple teams are going to be going after tight ends. This is one of the deeper tight end draft classes that we've seen in a while. So we talked about Dalton Schultz obviously not being re-signed with the Cowboys, right? I really think that as much as I like, both the young tight ends on the Cowboys, I won't be surprised if they draft a tight end in this draft, right? I saw some buzz that Miami fans were a little bit upset that, they didn't go after Dalton with such a low, contract that he got from the Texans, and them obviously losing Mike Gesicki, right? But once again, I would not be surprised if the Dolphins drafted tight end. Right? Running backs and tight ends, very, very deep in this draft class, and it's a good receiver draft class as well. So, we really aren't going to have a lot of clarity and certainty on a lot of rosters out there until after the NFL draft, because free agency has already been so crazy, right? And there's just so much more to come in terms of shifts and dynamics with the draft, like there always is, of course, but really from a fantasy perspective, things are just very interesting at the moment. All right, I'm gonna go the double running back build. I'll go ahead and take ETN right here. Why not? So all right, let's see here. Michael, appreciate you hanging out tonight, man. Appreciate you drafting with us, as always. After seeing Mahomes go 1.1, I'm going to go Eckler, move it along. Yay. It is what it is. Chunk probably thought we were doing Dynasty. It's all good. Hey, I mean, someone out there, maybe not a super competitively, but someone out there has like a family league or something where, I don't know, your dad wants to take Patrick Mahomes at 1.1. So I've seen stranger things happen, so to speak. But it is what it is. We'll move forward with it. And it's all good. I mean, Mahomes is the man, right? So is what it is. Let's see what else we've got going on in the draft here. So in the first round, we're looking at receivers, right? We got JJ, Chase, Hill, Cup, Diggs, Lamb, right? Definitely see all these receivers going in the first. I can see Adams moving into the first round as well. It really just depends on who you're drafted with, right? Let's say Mahomes is, not taken at 1.1. I can certainly see Adams still in the first round. And when we look at the running backs taken in the first round with C-Mac, Eckler, Barkley, and JT, and then looking to the second round with Henry, Jacobs, Etienne, Walker, Chubb, and Breece Hall off of the board. I mean, seriously, I could see any of those running backs going in the first round. It really just comes down to conviction and who you're drafting with at the end of the day, right? So, I mean, if Walker's your guy and he's available at 1.12, I can certainly see Walker going in the first round. Bijan falls all the way out to 3.1, and Bijan is another guy that I could see going anywhere from 1.7, 1.8, especially after he's drafted and we have more clarity on what team he's on, to anywhere in the second round, right? So, Chunk goes with the infamous Mahomes pick at 1.1, but lands two really good youthful running backs in Breece Hall and Bijan Robinson. Still looks like a great dynasty build so far, right? All right, moving to the third round, there goes Ramondre Stevenson off of the board. So let me know, what do you guys, when you're looking at Ramondre Stevenson going in the third round right now, how are you guys feeling with James Robinson being added to this roster? Probably nothing to be worried about whatsoever here. Obviously, Ramondre was your RB7 in full PPR last season, had a very, very good season, all things considered, and even missed some time as well, right? So, is there any concern whatsoever with Stevenson? In my opinion, no. I have heard, believe it or not, I've heard buzz out there, some people being worried about that. I'm not worried about it. Robinson had some splashes last season, don't get me wrong, but could not stay healthy. Man, middle of the third round has really been perplexing me lately. I mean, seriously. Like, do I just go Debo here? Do I take a quarterback? Let's just go Josh Allen. Let's go early QB. We'll go heavy at running back, early QB, see how things work out tonight. That'll be the build for tonight, Here's an interesting one. We've got the poll going on right now, right? Hurts versus Allen. 71% of you guys off of the votes right now are saying Hurts over Allen next year. So today's mock, I went Allen just for fun. I probably would go Hurts, real draft. But hey, let's not forget that, there was a point last year, or going into last season, right? Not even a point. Going into last season, there's no way you would have not taken Allen as the QB1. And the year before, I mean, you look since 2020, right? Allen has been QB1 or QB2 in the last 3 years, every year, right? QB8 in 2019. So how are you guys weighing Josh Allen? Because there's definitely this sentiment that Josh Allen took a step back last year. And when you look at the stats, he actually threw more picks in 2021 than he did in 2022. I mean, just one more. 15 2021, 14 2022. He did have 13 fumbles. That was the second highest of his career, 14 fumbles in 2019. So, point being, right, there were some struggles with Josh Allen, so to speak, this past year, right? Just compared to what we're used to. But when you look at it from a pure fantasy perspective, right, let me go and make this draft pick very quickly here. I am not taking another quarterback. I want to do something stupid, but I'm going to restrain myself. I'm just going to load up at receiver for a couple rounds and keep it simple, okay? But when we look at the numbers last year for Allen, right, between weeks 1 and 6, he He had 23 or more points in every game. Came out with a banger, 33 points against the Rams, defending Super Bowl champions in week 1, right? Then we move on to weeks 8 through week 18. Let's just exclude week 17, right? He had 22 or more points in every game except for 4. So week 8 against Green Bay, 19.6. Week 11 against Cleveland, 12.5. Week 13 against New England, 16.9. And I definitely am missing another game. But point being, right? Very, very good overall stats for majority of the season. Listen, sometimes it's easy to look at gameplay and say, well, Josh Allen kind of lost that game because he threw that pick, right? Or, I mean, at the end of the season, Josh Allen, let's just face it, was slinging it. I mean, he had, between weeks 8 and week 10, right, 2 picks in all 3 of those games, right? And then he threw 4 more picks to finish the season, which is not even that bad, you know? But all I'm saying is that there's kind of this sentiment that Josh Allen took a step back last season, and that's showing in fantasy mocks as well, right? Don't get me wrong, I'm all for Mahomes, and Hurts for that matter, right? But Allen, who has finished as a top 2 quarterback in the last 3 years, is drastically moving back in ADP if you really think about it, right? Like I just said, QB 1 or 2 the last 3 years, you would think he would be off the boards as a QB 1 or 2 no matter what going into this season. But we're certainly seeing Hurts move up. And if you think about it long term, right? If Allen has finished at that mark the last 3 seasons, he statistically, right, is probably not going to this year. But, you know, even if Hurts is giving you more upside, even if Burrow feels a little bit safer, are we not giving Allen enough respect? Yeah. There's my thoughts for the night. Boss man, Amon-Ra will be a first rounder next year, calling it now. I will not be surprised. Amon-Ra is another player I have been going after like crazy. It would not surprise me whatsoever. Okay, if Amon-Ra creeps up to the end of the first, it won't surprise me. There's been a couple mocks where I don't know if I've actually taken him in the first, but yeah, by the time, you know, summertime rolls around and, you know, ADP is kind of drastically changing and all the rosters are set, you know, we're all in the mindset for the year, I won't be surprised at all if he moves up that high. I truly won't. I'm going to go Godwin here. I've got 2 really boring receivers and DJ Moore and Chris Godwin, but feel like they give me really safe floors and full PPR scoring on a weekly basis. So I'll take them there. Why not? A lot of good players on the board right now. So you guys knew what I wanted. You guys took Christian Kirk and Tyler Lockett off the board. I love seeing Lockett gone at 5.5. You know, I really do think that Lockett should have a higher ADP. I'm not complaining about where his current ADP has been in mock drafts, but your wide receiver 13 last season, your receiver 15 2021, wide receiver 8 2020, wide receiver 13 in 2019. He's been a top 15 receiver the last 4 seasons. Always gets forgotten about, and you know that Geno Smith is back, right? So a great wide receiver 2 for your squad, a great flex option as well. Have all the faith in the world in Tyler Lockett. I do think he's a player similar to Christian Kirk, another guy who, especially with Calvin Ridley and that situation with the Jaguars, you know, really coming to light by the time this season will roll around, has shot down in ADP. And, you know, Kirk finished as your wide receiver 11 last season. Obviously didn't have a ton of success in Arizona. A lot of other receivers in, you know, that group as well. But regardless, this was Trevor Lawrence's guy this past year. Put up a ton of great performances. Let's see. Single digits in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 games. So really not that bad. Double digits in 10 games throughout the season. I love this offense. I get that Ridley's going to be there. I get that Ingram's still there and Zay Jones still there. But at the end of the day, I adore this offense and the direction it's moving in. I have all the faith in the world that Kirk is going to have a good year. And you know what, guys? I'm going to make a stupid pick. I don't care. I'm going to take DeAndre Swift here. in the 6th round. Let me know in the chat, okay? What round are you willing to draft DeAndre Swift? Let me know. I'm interested to know. I really, really am. Because he is falling back pretty drastically. I mean, J-Dubs, take a look. Where did you draft him last draft? Because you just got him pretty late in the mock we ran earlier as well. But goes at 6.6 tonight. We see Connor, Monty, and Algier off the board. So typically in these mocks, you know, since Monday, right, we're seeing Monty go before DeAndre Swift. So do I like one more than the other? I don't know at this point in time. They both have injury history. Let's look at that, okay? Let's look at Monty's injury history, right? It's not too bad, actually. 15 games 2020, 13 in 2021, 16 last year. So all things considered, right? Even though he hasn't missed that many games, what happens with a player like Monty, who plays such a physical position, is when he's listed as questionable, when he's listed as doubtful, as a fantasy manager, that takes a huge toll on you, even if he ends up playing, right? Even if he's not 100%. And that's the thing with this backfield. You know, let's take a look at Swift, okay? A little bit more drastic. 13 games 2020, 13 2021, 14 in 2022. But once again, it takes a toll on you as a fantasy manager when DeAndre Swift is listed as questionable on what seems like a weekly basis. So the silver lining here is that this offense can certainly, without a doubt, operate with both of these running backs being banged up at times, right? That they're not going to have to completely lean on DeAndre Swift, or David Montgomery. So I think it's going to be a great tandem. Who would I rather draft? The safer pick is Monty for sure. You know, that's where the floor lies, undoubtedly. The upside is still with DeAndre Swift, but all the risk is with Swift as well. So we'll talk a little bit more about that. Albert, what's going on, man? What up, what up? Appreciate you stopping by tonight, I should say. Yeah, Bijan did fall pretty far back tonight, J-Dubs. ADP is so trash. You know, it's not perfect by any means. And I feel like it almost never really is, right? Especially when, you know, it's you guys drafting who are so involved and mock draft on such a regular basis and are so in tune with what's going on in the fantasy realm that ADP is never going to be perfect, right? But I don't know when Sleeper plans on doing their next big update. I would imagine they're just waiting until after the NFL draft, and they're just making small ADP changes as they go. So we'll see what happens, but I know it is kind of all over the place at the moment. Do you think the Cowboys draft Bijan? I mean, I think it's possible. I don't know how far teams are going to have to potentially move up if they really just want to go out and snag Bijan. You know what I mean? So we'll see. I honestly, I feel like Bijan could go to any team right now. Like, I know that's like a boring answer, but at the end of the day, like, there's literally not a team that could, you know, not use Bijan. You know what I'm saying? Like, anyone could utilize the skill set that he has. It's a very straightforward skill set, but at the same time, any team benefits from drafting Bijan Robinson at the end of the day. Man, receivers are pretty thin. I want to be going for some late round value and some rookie value. I'm going to take A.J. Dillon off the board. And, you know, that kind of balances out the DeAndre Swift pick. At least gives me some depth there. So, kind of a wide receiver light team tonight. Was able to snag up Allen Lazard. I got to really fill some things out on the bench, but at least I don't have to worry about quarterback. So we'll see what happens here. Yeah, Albert, it's possible. It's a fancy rumor. I feel like fancy is definitely not the word I was looking to use there, but it's a rumor that we're definitely seeing at the moment. But, like, you even think about it, like, you look at any team across the board. I mean, look at the Giants. Like, they're franchise tagging Barkley, right? Imagine Bijan sitting behind Barkley, or, I mean, he wouldn't be sitting, but playing in tandem with Saquon Barkley. Like, is that not a good scenario, right? Imagine the Chargers, right? They got Austin Eckler looking for an extension, which I think they'll probably get things worked out personally. But, let's say they don't want to, right? And let's say Eckler plays in kind of a prove-it situation. You got Bijan in line. Like, you could literally make the argument, in my opinion, for any team to go out and get Bijan, especially with how many teams are moving to a committee-style approach at the running back position, and with how many injuries we see to the running back position as well. So, the Cowboys draft him, with Pollard coming off an injury, does it make sense, right? Pollard in a contract year, so to speak, a franchise tag year, I guess I should say. It helps, right? And make the offense probably 100 times better. So maybe not 100, but much better, right? So, and I think the Cowboys are at a point, right, where they kind of have to go all in. So, would I be surprised? No, not at all. All right, J-Dub says 6.8 for Swift. So 2 spots ahead of where I got him. But I guess that's pretty good. Would you guys, let me know in the chat, are you more comfortable with drafting David Montgomery or DeAndre Swift? There's another interesting one. I feel like most of you guys are going to say Monty. And that's what most of our mock drafts have reflected so far. All right, hold on a sec. My draft is kind of bugging out here. Give me the upside. Give me Ingram. Need a tight end. Komet, Schultz, Dolchich, and Freiermuth. Off the board very quickly there. I'll just roll with Ingram. Oh, man. Of course, Gainwell is available. They got to fix Gainwell's ADP. Like, I wish there was some way I could just change the ADP before I mock and just change Kenneth Gainwell's ADP. No one else's. I just want Gainwell up there in that tier with like James Conner and Swift and Miles Sanders. Like, we'll see what happens after the draft. Of course, the Eagles could draft a running back, but I listen. I think Penny is worth the risk. Cats took him at 9.2 tonight. I think it's 110% worth that risk, right? And the only risk there is that the injury history with Penny is extremely talented back when healthy. The contract that the Eagles got Penny on makes sense, but it could just pay off massively for the way that they run that offense. Point being, I really like Kenneth Gainwell. I think he's the RB1 for the Eagles. They will use a committee approach, don't get me wrong, but definitely think that Penny has some upside, but Gainwell is the guy, in my opinion. We'll see what happens. I have got to start loading up at receiver. I said that like 2 rounds ago. DJ Moore, Godwin, Lazard would make me very queasy, but my running backs have a ton of upside. See what happens here. So, who's available at receiver? Cortland Sutton, Darnell Mooney, Adam Thielen. Woo. We're going to have to scroll around a little bit. There goes Thielen. Where do I want to go? There goes Mooney, a good pick, good safe pick here in the 10th round. This is bad because I don't feel like the best. I don't know. Things are kind of ugly all across the board. You guys are snagging up all kinds of talent. I'm just going to take Zay Jones. Give me some upside. Like, Moore and Godwin, I don't think bring a ton of upside. And truthfully, I don't really think Lazard does either. So, I'll go with Zay Jones. Give me some boomer bust action on this team, right? I mean, I think Lazard, Godwin, DJ Moore bring a lot of good floors on a consistent basis. But, 12 points isn't always going to get you through the week at the position. So, at least I don't really need to worry about quarterback, tight end, or running back for the rest of this draft. By the way, guys, there's no kicker or defense for this draft. We're just purely looking at quarterback, tight ends, running backs, and receivers. So 4 more selections for us tonight. Appreciate you guys hopping on for a second mock of the night. And once again, I'm so very sorry. Had to jump off earlier. Literally as soon as I held the baby, she went right to bed. So moving forward, I probably just won't stream until she is for sure out with mom, or I get her down and then I help on stream. But appreciate you guys being here nonetheless. Taylor says J-Dub always snipes me when we draft. He likes to do that. He's a good drafter. So, Taylor, I'm taking neither, and that was in regards to Monty and Swift. Yeah, and there's nothing wrong with that. If you want to stay away from a committee, seriously, there's nothing wrong with it, right? And I do think it's okay, as we start to get into those later rounds, to start to look at who's the better value. And right now, there's not a ton of value, right? Monty versus Swift, like, they're going in the same rounds in a majority of mock drafts at the moment. Things can change. We got plenty of time until it's real fantasy time. But when you look at other committees out there, like on a historical base, like there can be a ton of value to going with one of the two primary backs in the committee, right? And the committee is just going to be two backs. So you look at CEH and Pacheco last year. The value was Pacheco, right? You look at DeAndre Swift and Jamal Williams. Jamal Williams was the value last year. Zeke and Pollard. Listen, I will defend Zeke's fantasy season last year. You can at me all you want. But obviously Pollard was the better value last year. So if you can, navigate a situation like that and find the right value, then I think that's perfectly fine. But if you're in a situation where you're looking at Swift versus Monty, then you're going off of conviction, right? Patty and Cheese, Cordell Patterson and Algier. Algier was the value last year. Here's a good one. Akers and Henderson. That one's actually kind of interesting because Henderson played fine to start the year and looked like the better value. But actually, I think in the long run, as disappointing as Akers was last year, he was like RB4 the last month of fantasy. So, that one I might take back. Akers actually literally won people, fantasy championships and everything. Week 16, 34.7 fantasy points. Week 17, 14.3. So maybe got you to the championship, but even in some circumstances won you the fantasy championship. 13 points in week 15, 15 in week 18. So a very, very, very solid playoff stretch for Akers. 19 points in week 13, 9.3 in week 14. So yeah, end of the season was just great for Cam Akers, who started the season pretty awful. But yeah, Akers is a player right now that I really like at his ADP. Went at 7.3 tonight. I think it's a good spot. J-Dub's thoughts on the Bills backfield. Oof. Haven't 100% made up my mind. I still think Cook is the guy to go for. Okay? Straight up. I think you go for Cook. He gives you the upside. I'm not going to be too concerned about Damian Harris. They'd be a good tandem for sure, but Cook's going to give you the upside. He gives you some PPR value. I think he's the guy to go for. Do I think Harris will see some volume? Yeah. Do I think he'll see a ton of volume? At the end of the day, the Bills don't run the football a lot. Maybe that'll change this year, but I don't quite know. So I say go for Cook. If his ADP takes a little bit of a shot, he went at 8.8 tonight. It doesn't look like it's changing too drastically. If his ADP takes enough of a shot, then we definitely want to. If we get some reports this offseason, like Damian Harris is the RB1 for the Bills, which in a committee only means so much, right? Then you might see his ADP take a little bit of a slap. And maybe that's a point where we kind of consider making him a primary target, right? But I still like him right now or where he's going. He's going around that Jamal Williams, A.J. Dillon, Khalil Herbert range, at least in this mock. I don't think he's going to go too much further than that. But, yeah, I say still go for Cook. I think he's in a good spot. Brian Robinson's a really interesting name for me. Went at 9.4 tonight. I think Michael got a really good value there, Did Brian Robinson have a perfect year last year? No, but we do know one thing, right? Washington really likes to run the football, okay? I still like Antonio Gibson as well. at his current ADP. The issue with both those players, who both went in the 9th round, continuing to talk about committee running backs tonight, the issue is the injuries, right? That's what's going to hurt you in the long run. So I'll just say I think they have really interesting ADPs right now. All right, let's see here. J-Dub says, I like committee backs more so in best ball. Yeah, 100%. I mean, those, I know you believe and I believe in kind of hero running back builds when it comes to best ball. And I think in any style of fantasy, committee backs make the most sense in best ball. Because if you have an early stud, whether it's Barkley, Jacobs, C-Mac, Eckler, whoever, right? And then you hit on a good value back like Jacobs from last year, right? Pollard from last year, whoever it may be. And that's kind of the base of your running back room. And that's who kind of guides you through the season. Those committees can hold a ton of value because as the tournament weeks come on, and as it does every season, the running back kind of landscape drastically changes and guys are injured and guys are having to step up. I really think that just holds a tremendous amount of value in best ball formats. All right, Landon Randall Robinson right there. Hopefully he's the wide receiver 1. Sorry guys, let me go ahead and adjust myself. That way you guys can see the full board there. But I like Robinson. Hodgins went at 11.6. Listen, somebody's going to be the primary receiver for the Giants, and regardless, either way, the Giants believe in Danny Dimes. They're, going to utilize a similar offense than last year. Hopefully, they're going to throw the football a lot, right? But when we look at this overall receiver room, it's crowded. As the offseason was beginning, I was like, hey, I believe in Hodgins if he gets re-signed here. And, everyone's back is the point I'm getting at. Richie James not back, but they add Paris Campbell to make things more confusing. They trade for Darren Waller. They already had Bellinger to make things even further confusing. They have Sterling Shepard, and then they re-signed Darius Slayton, who really played as a wide receiver 1 last season. So all I'm saying is, as much as I like going after, the receivers for the Giants, I would just keep in mind that target share could kind of drastically change. But I would also keep in mind that at the end of the day, these were very injury-prone receivers. I'm hoping that they all stay healthy this coming season, but just keep that in mind. Like, I would kind of diversify, especially like in best ball drafts, diversify which Giants receiver you're going after. And for the time being, just look at the value of where you can draft different Giants receivers, right? Because I think that Slayton's going to get a lot of targets this coming season, for example, and he's being drafted after Hodgins and Randall Robinson. He might be, he might end up being the best value there. And then if Shepard can stay healthy, tremendous value, right? And then you add Paris Campbell and Waller. And then Barkley still catches the football. It's just going to be a very crowded receiver room is the only point I'm making there. So, all right. Let me know if you guys want me to take a look at your squad, okay? Taylor says, I can't believe Chig fell that far. Yeah. Down to 13.10. It looks like Austin Hooper is on the move as well. So I think the bigger concern around Chig Okonkwo is nothing to do with his talent or what he did last season. It's the fact that we don't really know what's going on at the quarterback position for the Titans. And honestly, what's going on with that offense at all? If you believe in Treylon Burks, that's fine. I like Treylon Burks. I just don't know if this offense can, really give him what he needs to be, what A.J. Brown was when he was there. I mean, Brown was literally the comp for Treylon Burks. He, did have some injuries, but struggled in his rookie season. You got some sort of combination of Tannehill and Malik Willis at quarterback. Then you've got all kinds of rumors that they're going to draft a quarterback. They might trade up. You've got all kinds of rumors that they're in the Lamar Jackson sweepstakes. And you look at the rest of this offense, rumors with Derrick Henry being on the move. Like, I don't really know what the Titans offense is right now. And if Chig's the best player outside of Henry, of course, from a fantasy standpoint, that's fine. And I mean, I guess Treylon Burks is worth taking as well. But all I'm saying is, when I think of that offense, I don't really think of a unit that I want to support my fantasy roster. So I think that's the bigger concern at the end of the day around Chig. But nonetheless, a good value at the end of mock drafts for sure. All right, Michael says, I like my squad a lot. What'd you do tonight, my dude? All right, so we've got, let me switch one thing here. There we go. We've got Geno and Rodgers, little late round QB action. Hawkinson and Njoku. I think you're good right there. As long as, one of those two quarterbacks brings you a safe floor on a weekly basis, I think you're okay. I love Hawkinson and Njoku. I think that's great. Yeah, you went crazy at receiver to start this draft. And he even got 2 good late round values too. But Chase Waddle, Devonta Smith, Christian Kirk is just beautiful. I mean, this is a double flex setup. And I mean, literally, if you're starting Chase and Waddle, flexing Smith and Kirk, that is phenomenal, right? Monty, Pacheco, Herbert, Brian Robinson, not Bijan Robinson, all in a row is really, really good value between the 6th and the 9th. This is a great draft for you. Boyd and Palmer at the end of the draft, really good value at the end of the draft for receiver too. So, I mean, you're starting Geno, starting T-Hawk, Chase and Waddle, Monty and Pacheco, flexing Devonta Smith and Christian Kirk. That leaves you with Herbert, Brian Robinson, and Njoku, Boyd, Palmer, and Rodgers on the bench. This is a great team. Like we saw some builds last year in the Catch Fam leagues, right? In the Catch Fam tournament that went kind of 0 RB. And things just really worked out. How much upside does Geno or Aaron Rodgers bring you next season? I don't know. Rodgers, kind of interesting. Geno, I think, will have a fine year. I think both those guys could be in the top 12. So, by all means, it's very, very good value. But, yeah, man, I mean, in a double flex full PPR league, Chase, Waddle, Smith, Hawkinson, Kirk in your core roster is really, really nice. Then Monty and Pacheco just get you, even if they get you double digits, it's beautiful on a weekly basis. And Herbert and Robinson's good value, good depth. I like this team a lot as well, my dude. Good stuff tonight. All right, boxing the jack. We got Tua, Time, and Goff. Good late round QB build once again here. Pitts, I'm okay with it. That's your guy. That's fine. Not my favorite, but perfectly fine. Falling back a little bit in ADP at 5.3 is good value. C-Mac, Algier, Akers, Acne, McKinnon, pretty good running back room, all things considered here. Garrett Wilson, Metcalf, Mike Williams, DPJ, Bobby Trees, DJ Chark, who's reportedly on the move to the Panthers. We'll see what happens there. Good receiver room here, yeah. Not my favorite late round guys, but I like DPJ, good value there. Woods, could be the wide receiver 1 there, who knows? I mean, we kind of said that last year on the Titans, didn't happen. And I think Chark is a perfectly fine value. So we're starting Tua, Goff, really your choice. Starting Pitts, C-Mac and Algier, Wilson and Metcalf. Then you're probably flexing Mike Williams and Cam Akers. I think that's perfectly fine. You've got some receiver and running back depth and a second quarterback on the bench. It's a good build. Nothing really jumps out too crazy, but a very, very solid build. I mean, I really like Wilson, Metcalf, and Mike Williams as long as he stays healthy as your primary receivers. Obviously, you got C-Mac and 2 younger backs, so you're in a good position there. Good late-round quarterback value. It's a good draft tonight for sure, my dude. All right, Cats. What we do tonight? We got Fields and Anthony Richardson. Be a beautiful dynasty setup, but nonetheless holds a lot of upside, right? If Richardson ends up starting this season, then you're in a very, very good spot here, because you got Fields in the 7th round, which I mean, listen, personally, I'm taking Fields probably before Herbert, Lawrence, and Lamar Jackson. I think it's a good idea to go get a second quarterback behind him, but I said that last year about guys like Lamar Jackson, Jalen Hurts, Kyler Murray, even Russell Wilson. Like, if they use their feet, draft a second quarterback, just go for a guy who ends up being a Jared Goff or a Geno Smith on the season, right? I love that value of Fields, the point I'm getting at. George Kittle, I'm fine with, but Kittle was a tight end who I made the same point with last year. If you draft Kittle, get someone in your draft. Get a Dawson Knox, get a Hayden Hurst, Chicken Conquo, whatever. just because Kittle's going to miss some time. And then what did Kittle do this year? He missed like the first 2 games of the season. J.J. Higgins, Ridley Cooper, Flowers, Elijah Moore is really nice. I do fear that Elijah Moore is going to be part of the trade package to the Packers. But if he's not, I think he's in a really good position, obviously. Ramondre, Charbonnet, Penny, Harris, Hunt. So probably your weakest position is running back. But if Charbonnet works out, you're in a really good spot. If Penny gets enough touches, which he very likely could, you've got depth there. And then Harris could be a touchdown vulture. And Hunt is a free agent. I mean, that's a guy we haven't heard anything about. But Hunt in the right offense could have some production as well. So I think you got good late round value. But you're very much leaning on Ramondre Stevenson here. Starting Fields and Kittle. Starting Ramondre and let's say Penny. But I think Charbonnet could come into that role for you. Starting JJ and Higgins, flexing Ridley and Cooper. You're in a good position, you know. That would leave you with Charbonnet or Penny, Harris, Flowers, Hunt, Moore, and Richardson on the bench. It's a good squad, man. How do you feel about it? All right, let's see. Coast to coast, what we do, man. Went crazy tonight. Patty at the 1.1. Hey, I will make this argument, right? We set the example of you're playing in a family-friendly league, not super competitive. You've got your dad in your league, and he wants to take Mahomes at 1.1. Yeah, I mean, these things happen, right? But outside of that, just an argument for what happened tonight. If you don't take Mahomes at 1.1, is he going to be available at 2.12? And most of our, mock drafts, he has been. But like in best ball drafts, I mean, Mahomes is going at the end of the first sometimes, beginning of the second, gone by the middle of the second. And we have seen some mock drafts closer to when the offseason began where Mahomes was going beginning of the second. So if you really want him and he had the 1.1, you could take him. Would I do it? No, but it happened tonight nonetheless. All right, you backed Mahomes up with Danny Dimes. Had to add the GOAT to your roster there as well. We got Schultz and Greg Dulcich, so we're in a good position there. Like I said, I am not crazy about Schultz right now. But you pair him with Dulcich, I think that's okay. Breece Hall, Bijan is beautiful. Damian Pierce, Donta Foreman. I mean, the Foreman pick I don't mind in the 10th round. But just having Hall, Bijan, and Pierce is really, really nice. I mean, I'm not worried about Pierce at the moment. I still think he's the primary back there, even with the Singletary signing. But Hall and Robinson alone just give you a tremendous amount of upside. McLaurin, Watson, Burks, Beckham, Mechie. Not my favorite receiving room, but you do have, Watson, Burks, Beckham, and Mechie. If they all work out, you got a ton of upside, and you've got a safe floor player in Scary Terry. So you're starting Mahomes, obviously. Starting Dulcich, starting Hall and Bijan, McLaurin and Watson, then probably flexing Pierce and Burks, right? So that's gonna. He could start Schultz at tight end, but I said Dulcich. But it's gonna leave you with Schultz, Foreman, Danny Dimes, Beckham, Mechie on the bench, and Tom Brady's hanging around for you too. So an interesting build to say the least tonight, but I think a pretty good team. I would not personally take quarterback at 1.1 in a 1 QB redraft, but it's what happened tonight, man. All right, let's see. Tom. Wait. Oh, Javante. Wait, I'm trying to figure out which team was yours. Is it the team with Javante? I guess that makes sense because it's Tom. Okay. I was just confused about the way he said it. Okay. We got T-Law and Bryce Young. Freiermuth in Washington. You got 2 good rookies behind. We'll call them veterans compared to the rookies, but yeah, 2 veterans that I absolutely love, and T-Law and Freiermuth, so that certainly works out there. Running backs: Walker, Aaron Jones, Javante, Jamal, and Jeff Wilson. So pretty good running back value throughout this draft for sure. Receivers, we got Hill, Olave, Pittman, Jordan Addison, and Hodgins. I actually really like this receiver room. And not to sound like a broken record, but once again, really, really good receiver value throughout this draft for you. So you're starting T-Law, starting Freiermuth. I love that. You got some flexibility on the bench with Washington and Young. See how they work out, right? Starting Hill and Olave, Walker and Jones, flexing Pittman and Javonte. Javante's not good to go. Probably flexing Jamal Williams. But you got some good options on the bench, right? Addison could come into a large role if he's drafted to the right team. Obviously, a tremendous amount of talent in this rookie receiver class. Hodgins a great value at 11.6, and Wilson's back with Miami. And they might draft a running back, but right now it doesn't look like they're really making any moves at the position in free agency. So, yeah, ultimately, I think this core roster is in a really good spot, and you've got a little bit of depth on the bench as well. So, I think it's a good squad, man. How do you feel about it? All right, already went over Michael's team. Taylor, what we do today? Tonight, I should say. Kyler and Deshaun, I like it. I like it. I'm still not against going Kyler Murray as your QB1 in redraft. And as long as you draft the right quarterback behind him. I think Kyler's going to take as much time off as he needs. The O-line's not great. Had a lot of injuries on the O-line last season as well. Just keep that in mind. Listen, Kyler was playing fine. 20 points, 26 points. Not a great week here against the Rams. 23 points, 17, 15, 17, 26, 19, 26. So before he went down, right, I mean, he missed those 2 games. So really this is when his ranking started to tank, but he was a top 7 quarterback at points. I think he was QB6. And then even in, when he played through week 12, he was still in the top 8 or 9 on the season. So obviously after he got hurt, he fell off pretty drastically. He might have been QB 10 around week 12. But all I'm saying is he was fine, all things considered. So if you want to stash him, I think it's okay. If you're going to go Watson as a backup, that's fine. There wasn't really anyone else. Maybe Rodgers. Trey Lance would be interesting too, but that'd be a little bit sketchy going in the season with Lance and Kyler. So I'm okay with it. And Conquo and Hurst, good late round value at the position for sure. Derrick Henry, Dobbins, Gibson, and Mitchell. A little bit sketchy, especially if Dobbins doesn't play. I know Dobbins is a player you really like, so I'm okay with that. Gibson and Mitchell, I mean, committee touches here. You're really leaning on Henry and Dobbins, which Henry I'm fine with. Dobbins a little bit sketchier, but lots of receiver value on this team. Stephon Diggs, Debo, Hopkins, Deontay, J-Mo, and Dotson. So you've got a pretty good balance here, right? Debo, J-Mo, Dotson give you the upside, give you some risk. Diggs, Hopkins, and Deontay give you really safe floors, better ceilings coming with Diggs and Hopkins. But interesting build tonight, man. Starting Watson to start the year, probably starting in Conquo. I mean, both Tennessee and Carolina's quarterback situation, kind of a question mark right now. Starting Henry and Dobbins, starting Diggs and Debo, flexing Hopkins, and I mean, it might depend on the defense that each team is playing that week, but you've got your choice of Deontay, J-Mo, and Dotson. So you've got good depth here at receiver. You've got good bench options for the flex. Running back's a little bit thin. Quarterback, if Watson doesn't step up to the plate, could be a little queasy at times, but you can always stream a quarterback. And tight end, listen, I'm all for a late round tight end build, but you just have to be careful. You look at what the tight end position was last year, it was really ugly. So if you don't hit on the right guy with a late round tight end build, it could just get ugly quick because there's not a lot of replacements throughout the season. If you don't snag up the right replacement, you're in a bad spot. So I don't hate Nkonkwo or Hurst where you got them, but just keep things like that in mind. All right, let's see. Catch back up here. J-Dubs. Lance and Hurts is really nice. No, Lance is a player you really like. So you have the conviction there, but just pairing him behind Hurts, perfect situation for drafting Lance. Mandrews at tight end, I'm good with, obviously. Late round running back build here. So we got Gibbs, Rashad White, Madison, Tucker, Singletary, and Condre Miller. I mean, 3 rookies in here, but ultimately, really good late round value at the position, right? Receivers, we got Lamb, Adams, JSN, Pickens, Quentin Johnston, 2 rookies sprinkled in here, right? These rookie receivers and running backs go to the right situation. Could be in a really good spot here. So, ultimately, very good value throughout this draft. So, we're starting Hurts, starting Mandrews, Lamb and Adams, probably Gibbs and Rashad White, or Rashad White and Madison maybe. It just depends on where those running backs go, the rookies. That is. Then I would say you're probably flexing Pickens because you know what you're gonna get out of that situation, right? Because he already played 1 year. But would I be surprised if JSN and Quentin Johnston kind of snuck in? Not necessarily, not at all. So, two rookies who give you a lot of good upside here in the flex. So, interesting build tonight, but I think ultimately pretty good squad. How do you feel about it? All right, boss man, what we do? Other than draft Kenneth Gainwell in the 9th round, we got Herbert at quarterback, Kmet and Knox. I think a good duo tied in there for sure, and good value as well. Barkley, Najee, Gainwell, Lenny, and Pierre Strong. That's your guy. Yeah, good running back value throughout the draft. Amon-Ra, Judy, Hollywood, Cooks, Mooney. I think Allen Robinson was an auto pick for you. I think I remember seeing that, but he's on your team. So we're starting Herbie, starting Kmet, Barkley, and Najee. Amon-Ra and Judy, probably flexing Hollywood and Cooks, or Hollywood and Gainwell. Maybe Gainwell and Cooks. I mean, you've actually got pretty good options here, right? You could even go Gainwell and Mooney. Like, if you want to see how the Cooks situation works out, if you want to wait till Kyler's back for Hollywood to gain, his true ceiling. So you've got options there, which is good. That leaves you with Fournette, Knox, Allen Robinson, and Pierre Strong on the bench. So you've got some bench options. You've got some flexibility. No pun intended at the flex. Good little team here. I think Najee Harris is so interesting, right? Top 15 running back last season. Obviously, a huge drop-off from RB3 to RB14 in full PPR. But this was a player who was a top 7 pick last year. And it's just drastically fallen in ADP. When you really look at what he did last year, 1, 2, 3 games where he did not give you double digits. Like, at least he was consistent. The ceiling wasn't great, but I don't know, man. I just feel like Najee's been a teensy bit overlooked. So, all right, let's see. Paul, what's going on, man? Good to see you. Lions getting scary. They have made some good signings for sure. I think they're starting, they've built they're an organization now that players want to go to. Players are feeding into that culture. So at the end of the day, I'm not surprised that more and more free agents are starting to want to go to the Lions without a doubt. Good to see you in the house, Paul. What's up? Where is your ideal Charbonnet landing spot? Is it really pronounced Charbonnet? I'm just like, literally the only reason why I will never make it as a fantasy football person is because I can't pronounce any players' names to save my life. I do too much reading, not enough listening. I just listen to, I don't know, literally, I don't listen to any, like, fantasy related. I barely even, half the time when I'm watching games, I don't even watch with the sound on. It's just not the way I conduct my, research. So maybe I need to really change that, but I appreciate that, boss man. His ideal landing spot, it's too hard to say right now. I'm sorry. I thought you meant in terms of ADP, but you mean in terms of an actual team. Arizona would be really interesting. I don't know if it's ideal, but I do think that Arizona could go after a running back in this draft. The Rams would be interesting with Akers, but I don't know. I think they could definitely go after a running back. I don't know if they will. In terms of ideal, it's hard to say, man. Hard to say. I think just about any team could benefit from him. In terms of a team that could use him like right away, the Vikings would be really interesting. If Cook is truly out the door, you pair him with Alexander Madison. That'd be a really nice duo, right? So, and I think a duo where he could get utilized and give you enough upside in fantasy pretty quickly as well. So it's kind of hard to say because there's still some of the running back landscape that needs to continue to be shaped. So we'll see. We'll see. The Jags would kind of be interesting as well. All right, let's see. Fancy Dog, what's up, man? Hello, hello, hello. Let's see. Oh, revamping audio system, can't hear you. For a second, I thought you were saying like something was wrong with my audio. I got worried. What's up, Fancy Dog? I appreciate you hanging out tonight, my dude. Let's see. Cat's drafter of the night. Gosh, I was thinking of this when I went through the teams. And, man, all the teams I went over I actually liked. But there was certainly one team that kind of stood out. Oh, Michael's team. I really, really like what Michael was able to do. In a one quarterback redraft format, I would love this team. Because I'm all for a late round quarterback build in a single quarterback redraft format, right? So, Geno, Rodgers, safe enough floor. Don't need a crazy ceiling. Hawkinson and Njoku, you've got the depth there. Got some upside. Got a floor player. Receivers are just crazy, and the running back value here was really, really, really nice, and still landed 2 good receivers at the end in a double flex full PPR league. That's beautiful. So I got to go with Michael. I love that team. I just think so much value went to him tonight, man. All right, what did I do? Let's roast my team. My receivers are not great by any means. Josh Allen. Haven't done that one yet this offseason at 3.7. Ingram at 9.7. Listen, I really, really, really like Evan Ingram. I will say there's something about Evan Ingram that makes me want to draft a second tight end behind him. Maybe Njoku, Nkonkwo, Dawson Knox lasted at 12.5. Maybe a rookie. I don't know. Just something about him makes me want to draft a second tight end behind him. But I do like Ingram a whole lot. Running backs, Eckler, Etienne, Swift, Dylan, Carter. I would actually be just fine in a redraft format with this running back room. So at 14.6, like I could have gone with another tight end, could have gone with another quarterback, could have drafted another receiver. But I felt like I had good enough receiver depth at that point. Listen, Hall's coming off an injury. Hall's going to be the guy. But the Jets did run the football a ton last year. Michael Carter's still a good talent, God forbid anything happens to Hall, or even if he just misses 1 or 2 games, Carter's the guy. Those are the type of committee running backs that I like at the end of the draft. So, Eckler, Etienne, Swift, Dylan, I actually really like. I'd be fine with those 4 guys coming out of the draft with 1 committee player in Michael Carter. DJ Moore, Godwin, Lazard. Those are my starting receivers. It's not perfect. There's really not a ton of upside whatsoever there. Safe floors, even with Baker throwing to Godwin. I'm fine with Fields to Moore. You guys know that by now. And I like Lazard at his current ADP. Added Zay Jones, Osborne, who's going to replace Thielen, theoretically, although the Vikings could draft a receiver, of course. Rondale Moore, still kind of sketchy, but at the moment, D-Hop's out the door. If Moore can stay healthy, should be in a huge role. Kind of said that last year with Kirk out the door, and it didn't necessarily happen just due to his health, right? Randall Robinson, we already talked about the Giants receivers. Like, could be anyone. The receiver room is very, very crowded right now. But Randall showed a lot, when healthy, a lot of good strides in his rookie season as well. So I had to just snag up whatever receiver value was there. I love Zay Jones at 10.6, even with Ridley there, even with Ingram there, and even with Kirk there. At his current ADP, I'll take him all day long. So starting Allen and Ingram, Eckler and Etienne, Moore and Godwin, probably flexing Lazard and Swift, or Lazard and Dylan. But at the end of the day, I have Swift or Dylan on the bench, Zay Jones, KJ Osborne, Rondo Moore, Randall Robinson, Michael Carter on the bench. I have options in the flex that I feel good about. I've got a quarterback I believe in, and I've got a tight end I believe in, although Ingram's starting to sketch me out. I don't know why. But, I would certainly move into next season a redraft format with just Ingram be okay. So, I like this team. Don't love it. It'll work. So, all right, man. So, that'll do it for tonight's mock. If you guys want to check out a different mock that was just 8 rounds, that is up from earlier as well. Thank you to everyone who came out to the mock earlier. Thank you to everyone who came out to this current mock. And I am sorry once again that I had to hop off the stream earlier. But nonetheless, man, I appreciate you guys so much. Appreciate this community. Love you guys, man. Love this community. Love drafting with you guys. Love talking fantasy football with you guys. Always a good time with you guys. So make sure you guys hit the like button on the way out. If you guys are new to the channel and you tuned in, hit that subscribe button down below. Check out the links down below as well. So there you have it. Another live 2023 fantasy football mock draft. Redraft, full PPR style in the books. And yeah, man, let's do it. Lamar news, Colts are open to trade talks. Yeah, I saw that probably over a week ago. The buzz around that starting to form. And it is possible. We'll see what happens. A lot of speculation there. So we'll see what happens. But we'll see what happens. So, all right, man. That'll do it. So, we'll go ahead and wrap up here. Fantasy Dog, Taylor, J-Dubs, Cats, Paul, Bossman, Michael, Tom, Coast to Coast, Boxing the Jack, Michael, Albert, and everyone else who stopped by, everyone else who hung out. Thank you guys so much for coming out to the stream tonight and spending part of your night here on the channel. That'll wrap it up. Stay tuned tomorrow night, guys. We'll have Steven in the house for a 2023 startup mock draft for the 2023 Dynasty fantasy football season. So make sure you guys come out tomorrow. We'll be kicking off at 8 p.m. Eastern time. We'll have Steven in the house. It's always a good time when he's in the building. So make sure you guys swing by tomorrow. Hit me up on Discord or Instagram if you guys need anything. And that'll do it for the night. So with that, I will say thank you guys so much for watching and or listening. And remember, you saw it here on the catch.